What the? I'm coming to the cottage.
A hockey romance novel just became one of the most successful book-to-TV adaptations of the year, and millions of fans completely lost their minds over it.
I love you. I love it. Holy shit.
A queer hockey romance resonated so deeply that it became Crave's most-watched original series ever, and HBO Max rushed to acquire it just days before premiere after witnessing the social media explosion firsthand. We're breaking down exactly why fans responded with such overwhelming enthusiasm, from the masterful execution of beloved romance tropes, to groundbreaking LGBTQ+ representation in sports media, to one of the most passionate fan campaigns in recent memory.
You're in love with him.
I'm not in love with him.
You are.
Anyone who spends time in romance communities knows that enemies to lovers ranks as arguably the most beloved trope in the genre, but fans didn't just call Heated Rivalry good enemies to lovers. They called it the best enemies to lovers romance of all time, which sounds like a massive claim until you understand what made this execution different.
Why the fuck did you think it was okay to sex me before the game? What the fuck?
You were hurt, weren't you?
Shane Hollander and Ilya Rozanov's romance spans years of yearning, not weeks, not months, but years of agonizing, beautiful slow burn that avoids the typical "we hated each other last week, now we're in love" dynamic entirely.
You will murder me.
Maybe.
And that's when the stakes start to feel genuinely dangerous, because these aren't two people who work at the same coffee shop and have tension. Professional hockey players at the highest level, both of their careers could be destroyed if their secret relationship ever surfaces. Apple Books' editorial team described the format as one that replaces the trope's usual hatred with a searing professional rivalry that fills Shane and Ilya with explosive frustration and adoring awe.
And it felt like we were something.
We can't be something, Hollander.
That duality, frustration, and adoration existing simultaneously explains what makes readers obsess over these characters. Character dynamics play a huge role here. Shane gets described by fans as the sweet Canadian golden hockey boy who carries himself as earnest, careful, and burdened by the weight of being a public figure.
And people say you're not funny.
They do?
Yeah. They say you're boring too.
Ilya brings the opposite energy. Charming, cocky Russian with tons of swagger. Playful where Shane remains serious. Bold where Shane stays cautious.
Wow. You think this will be enough? Fuck off.
Dual third-person POV means readers watch both men fall for each other at the same time, sitting inside Shane's head as he tries convincing himself this connection stays purely physical, and then shifting into Ilya's perspective as he realizes it has already become something far deeper.
You like tuna melt?
You want to make me a tuna melt?
I was gonna make one for me, I can make two.
Fans describe this as creating delicious tension, and they aren't exaggerating. One popular Goodreads reviewer captured the appeal perfectly. There were high stakes, tons of steamy scenes, and a relationship that built over years. It felt like this book was written just for me. That last phrase, "written just for me," appears over and over across thousands of reviews because fans genuinely felt seen by this story. Underneath all the heat and tension sits remarkable emotional depth.
You still want?
Still.
Another reviewer put it this way: "It literally makes my heart ache to think of how vulnerable and honest these characters get to be with each other in a way that we don't often get in romance. Their true selves are wrenched out." Specific moments became touchstones for the fandom. Things like the first time Shane and Ilya use each other's first names, the thumb grab at the beach, scenes of them kissing iPad screens during video calls because they're on opposite sides of the continent.
Come here.
No, you come here.
No, you come here.
No, you come here.
None of these qualify as grand gestures. They're small, achingly human moments that hit harder than any dramatic declaration ever could. Here's where context becomes everything. Not a single player in the entire history of the NHL has ever come out as gay, not even after retirement. Let that settle for a moment.
It's a gay bar. And I was thinking that you could just come as my friend.
Outplayers exist in the NBA. Outplayers exist in the NFL. Outplayers exist in Major League Baseball. But the NHL remains the one major North American men's league where this has never happened.
I want you so bad. So bad. Wow, you are so beautiful.
Luke Prokop made headlines when he became the first player under NHL contract to come out, but he plays in the AHL, the minor leagues, which means the void in the NHL itself persists. Rachel Reid wrote a story about two closeted hockey stars falling in love in secret, and she wasn't just writing romance. What she created felt simultaneously like fantasy and sharp cultural commentary, and she stayed explicit about her motivation. Reid put it bluntly: Game Changer came from a place of me being angry at hockey culture and how clearly homophobic it was and is, and all the other things that made me really ashamed to be a hockey fan.
Can you stay? Yeah. Do you want the full tour now, or?
That whole series attacks the NHL and hockey culture quite a bit. Timing of the show's release added another layer because the NHL had banned Pride tape and specialty Pride jerseys after some players refused to participate in Pride Night events. Against that backdrop, a show depicting closeted NHL stars finding love doesn't just feel romantic, it feels transgressive, it feels necessary.
What do you mean? Well, I'm assuming your buddy might be gay.
Showrunner Jacob Tierney captured this when he declared, "This is a gay love story set in the world of hockey, so its very existence is an act of rebellion." Fan response to this representation proved overwhelming. Harper's Bazaar pointed out that a relationship where at least one party is closeted is actually a very relatable queer experience, and for many LGBTQ+ viewers, watching Shane and Ilya navigate the terror and excitement of their secret wasn't escapist fantasy, it was recognition. The Quinnipiac Chronicle praised how the story depicts queer men as real people, whose relationships are multifaceted, pointing out that this wasn't tragedy for the sake of drama, but rather a love story that happened to feature two men.
It's you. It's this.
Inside Hook noted the show's potential real-world impact. There are no doubt young gay athletes watching who now feel a little more comfortable coming out to their teammates. Queer joy over queer suffering, that's what the show prioritized, and that choice remains remarkably rare in mainstream media. Audiences responded by showing up in record numbers.
How about you tell me everything that's on your mind, but in Russian?
Numbers tell the story of what happened on social media, and the response to Heated Rivalry stands as genuinely unprecedented. Millions of posts appeared under the Heated Rivalry hashtag on TikTok. One family reaction video showing people watching the show's explicit scenes together garnered over 1 million views, and fan edits routinely exceed 100,000 likes.
I hate you.
No, you don't.
Reddit went wild with the Heated Rivalry subreddit becoming one of the most discussed TV shows on the platform, thousands of new members joining weekly during the show's run. Tumblr developed its own infrastructure around the show as blogs became hubs for gift sets, episode analyses, and detailed book-to-show comparisons. Archive of Our Own spawned active fanfiction communities with Hollander, the couple's ship name, becoming a major tag. And here's where it gets interesting, because this organic fan enthusiasm directly influenced the show's distribution. HBO Max's acquisition got attributed in part to online social media buzz generated by the Game Changers fanbase who campaigned for global distribution, meaning fans didn't just watch and react, they actively campaigned for wider access. Production teams noticed this advocacy at every milestone, and when the trailer dropped, one executive noted they had free advocates across the world clamoring for the show to be acquired. Official Heated Rivalry TikTok accounts even started making their own emotional fan edits, blurring the line between creator and community. When marketing teams produce content that looks indistinguishable from fan content, you know something special has taken hold. Book-to-screen adaptations carry a notorious reputation for disappointing fans who spent years with characters in their heads, building specific images of how scenes should play out. Almost never does the adaptation match what they imagined, which makes what happened with Heated Rivalry so unusual. HBO Max announced they'd acquired the show just days before its premiere, and social media exploded with reactions like, "Now this is how you do a book adaptation," and usually, "Only straight people get media like this, I am vibrating out of my mind." Fidelity to the source material became its own selling point. One IMDb reviewer wrote, "This is shaping up to be the most faithful book-to-screen adaptations I've ever seen. Not only do the actors embody the characters perfectly, but they also clearly convey the characters' internal monologues." That observation about internal monologue matters because romance novels live and die by what happens inside characters' heads, all that yearning, all those suppressed feelings. Translating that to screen remains incredibly difficult, and somehow they pulled it off. Rachel Reid herself seemed almost in disbelief when she explained, "When you write the kind of books that I do, you don't really expect anyone to even think about adapting them. It's not the sort of thing that gets adapted, and it's certainly not the sort of thing that gets adapted faithfully." Pop culture analyst Liz Duff called it an anomaly in the era of adaptation television, where the jump from page to screen is so true to the source material that the fans have nothing to fight about. In fact, the fans are celebrating the minor tweaks to the dialogue, arguing they are strengthening the performances. Fans typically serve as the harshest critics of changes, but here they celebrated small adjustments because those adjustments made the story even better. Results speak for themselves. Certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, Crave's most watched original series ever. HBO Max's top debut for an acquired non-animated title since the platform launched. A second season got renewed quickly after the premiere with plans to adapt the sequel novel The Long Game. Kindle store rankings show the book hit #1 after the show premiered, and print copies sold out across the US. Academics and critics have attempted to explain why these specific romantic elements resonate so powerfully with audiences. Jamie Ryan, who studies women's hockey literature at Queen's University, identified hockey romance as a natural fit for enemies to lovers storylines, and the idea of forbidden love and the shirking of hypermasculinity add to the appeal. Secret relationship elements create sustained narrative tension spanning years rather than chapters. Content creator Josh Banfield noted that fans respond to the slow-burning aspect of Shane and Ilya's romance. There's something nice about seeing the yearning and seeing that they do maintain contact with each other and still have this connection. USC gender studies professor Karen Tongson offered broader context. What it's doing is moving gay sex beyond the realm of the subculture of queer life. This is about understanding gay sex is happening well beyond those enclaves and in places that you might not expect, but where it surely happens. Audience composition proved particularly revealing. Charles Carroll Booley of the Gay and Lesbian Entertainment Critics Association observed, "The key demographic for the show is actually women. Why are women flocking to it? For most, it's the romance, unrequited love, secret love, and obsession." One viewer who identifies as queer explained the cross-demographic appeal. It shows men who have shut down parts of themselves to survive beginning to live authentically. This is often true of women in the roles we are expected to play every day. That observation resonates because the experience of hiding parts of yourself to survive in a hostile environment isn't exclusively queer, it's human. Community that formed around the story proved substantial. A queer bar in Halifax hosted a finale viewing party that sold out in minutes. Multiple podcasts launched specifically to analyze episodes, and fan newsletters dedicated entire issues to the show. Rachel Reid started writing the Game Changers series as fan fiction on Archive of Our Own before publishing professionally, which means she came from fandom culture, understood what fans wanted, and delivered exactly that. Heated Rivalry delivered exceptional craft within beloved tropes, enemies to lovers, and secret relationship dynamics, executed with patience and emotional depth over years of story time. Representation filled a massive void in sports media, giving audiences a queer love story in the one major North American men's sport that has never had an outplayer. A passionate online community didn't just consume the content, they literally campaigned the show into global distribution, and the adaptation itself respected the source material while strengthening it for a new medium. Hollywood often forgets that a massive market exists for unapologetically queer stories prioritizing joy over trauma. Romance readers, frequently dismissed by prestige media, can drive genuine cultural moments when given material that respects their intelligence and desires. Great love stories happen when you represent an underserved audience and trust the story enough to adapt it faithfully. Heated Rivalry proved exactly that. If you haven't watched it yet, now you understand why everyone's been yelling about it. Thanks for watching. Drop a comment below if you've read the book, seen the show, or both, because I want to know your thoughts. If this video helped you understand the phenomenon, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that move culture. See you in the next one.